You want to hold. It's a little risky.
Okay.
All right.
Whenever saw you.
Yeah, that's actually better. I like that.
I already knew.
You good on your Gatorade?
There was something inside of you. Something I thought that I would never find. Angel of mine.
Who is your, if you could sleep with one porn star, who would it be? Just one.
Mandingo.
I don't know who that is.
Are we recording? Are we actually recording?
Yeah, sure. I'm not going to put this in, man. Come on.
I don't even watch enough mainstream stuff to even know that anyway. It's funny. That's the one thing. He used to be obsessed with that shit.
He knew names and shit?
He would watch that shit on his PlayStation, like his house, like endlessly. It was weird.
Weird. It's weird to think about that. I was thinking about today for some reason. He popped in my head.
Piece of shit.
Yeah, and how those guys, I don't know what the deal was that he had, and they were the bosses. And they walked around and acted like they were very important.
I didn't think I would like.
And they, well, he didn't, but he played the part, and it paid off, obviously. And they would hop behind the bar when it's busy, and they would get tipped out the same as everyone who'd been there. It was a really weird, fucked up system at good old back in the day. But I wonder what he's doing now. He popped in my head. I'm like, I wonder what that fucking guy. Because he was a piece of shit. He left his wife and kids for some chick, right, who was sort of a regular at the bar. Didn't he?
I didn't like that guy at all.
He was bad news.
Yeah, piece of shit. I'm surprised they lasted as long as it is places. The guys were, I didn't like him at all.
So how about that? Did you like that? Texas, hang on. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Why did you do that to me?
Why? Because it was 84 minutes long. That's why. Hey, we were going to watch Jeepers Creepers. It's the season of Halloween. We have a pumpkin patch being constructed literally across the street from our house. And it's time to get into some scary movies.
Why didn't we watch Jeepers Creepers?
But we were on Netflix. A Chainsaw popped up. The thing you saw it popped up. Let's watch that. Easy fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think Jeepers Creepers would be better?
Well, we're going to watch a movie tomorrow that I'm going to pick out for you, and you'll like it.
And you're not going to say what it is. Say what it is at the end of this, because I did pick this. And this was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2021, probably.
2022.
Okay. Netflix. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the reimagining, or it's a sequel.
The sequel.
From the original.
Correct.
I don't know how many other Chainsaw movies there have been. I would guess 3. I would guess 4. No. More than that, because they had some that were pretty recent, right? Jessica Biel, Jordana Brewster.
Yep.
But I guess you throw those out the window with this. This is a direct sequel to the original, which is, I think, a masterpiece.
Yeah, the original. I don't remember, actually. I can't remember scenes from it. I'd have to see it and then probably get reminded of it.
I want to talk about the original a little bit more, because I remember being a young kid and it was still kind of controversial. People thought, without the internet and everything, people thought it was an actual true story.
Yeah.
And it was actual found footage or something like that. So it left quite an imprint on the culture at the time. But a guy named Tobe Hooper directed the original, and I think it was probably a $50,000 budget, $75,000 budget. And apparently the conditions that they filmed this under were extremely poor. But I do want to learn more about that, because I think it's kind of fascinating.
Interesting.
Anyways, it's pretty amazing that this independent movie that was filmed in the 70s has grown into to be what it is now, and spawned films like we just watched on Netflix that just came out. I don't know if it was successful or not. Based on Netflix, I guess they don't release ratings. Do they release ratings or views or anything? They keep all that shit under wraps. But anyways, you're not a big horror movie fan, are you?
I'm a huge horror movie fan.
You are.
There's just not very good many horror movies that are good.
So you love this?
No, this is an especially bad movie on many levels. Let's take that apart a little bit. It's like Batman, where every scene was bad. This one was at least better than Batman, because Batman, every single frame is bad. Even the cityscapes it's all just horrible.
That's a hot take. Texas Chainsaw Massacre Netflix is better
than the new Batman.
Than Matt Reeves' Batman.
Yeah. What did I give that one? Did we rate it? I don't even remember.
I didn't release that episode.
I'm glad, because that should be, it's like a cancer, and the more it spreads, the more it gets to everyone else's brain. Like, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to start. This movie was especially bad. I think that what they did is they had like a Make-A-Wish thing, right? And so they got all these like college or would-be college screenwriters, and they're like, "Who's always wanting to make a movie?" And you're like, "I always want to make a movie." And they put them in a big room, and they had to compete with each other somehow. I don't know how. Maybe who can run 50 meters without, falling over, running backwards, and actually complete it. I don't know how they did it, but they got down to like 2 or 3 screenwriters. And then they had some woke producer overseeing them, right? And so you had like Corky and Sally and Sammy writing the screenplay with much difficulty because their helmets got in the way. And they produced this movie.
Yeah.
This was worse than a college screenwriting. Like, it really was. This is like, you're 19, you just got to college, you're taking screenwriting at UCLA, you think you've made it, and they're like, okay, first assignment for your first 2 weeks, you write your screenplay, horror movie. I just want to see if you guys can get structure down and pace and tone. And they come up with this, and then they just gave it to Netflix. Netflix was like, well, okay, we'll take it. We'll take this right away.
It's pretty easy, so. I think with movies like this, though, you're going to get an audience. It's going to sell, and you got to keep it simple. Don't you agree?
Yeah, but that makes it really, actually, the difficulty is when you have something so simple, you have to make it really matter for the in-between parts that aren't those simple parts, and those don't matter. We're not invested in the girl and her school shooting story. That's just, it was cringe. It didn't make any sense. It was trying to be current affairs, which makes it even worse because then you're trying to say something, and be kind of like, make a point. School shootings are bad, and she went through this, and she has PTSD, and they're horrible, and there's something to really be, you should think about this, right? But the movie's about murdering and killing and guns. Like, it didn't like make some statement against it. It was just used because it was current, but it didn't say anything. The only honest part of this movie was the part where the girl, whatever she was, goes in and starts talking to the backwoods hick, and they have a moment where that guy, who's actually a good actor, like you pointed out,
he was good.
He's like empathizing because she's talking about the school shooting, and he's clearly feeding on something. And he said to her, "Did your dad do it? The guns being shot at." Because he's probably projecting that his dad did that to him. If you read the nuance of his character, I'm picking that up. I don't know if that's true, but they have an actual genuine moment between the two of them. It's, the left versus the right, or this side versus that side, and they have kind of a bonding moment for a second, and he has empathy for her. Mm-hmm. That was the only part in the whole movie that actually had any kind of like genuine authenticity that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that did work. Did they sleep together?
No, not at all.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay. So, yeah, let's give this actor a shout out. I was impressed by him. His name's Moe Dunford. Moe, M-O-E, born 1987. This kid's younger than you. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
From Waterford, Ireland.
Ireland, interesting.
Yeah. I think it's so fascinating to see these actors from Europe, wherever, who can play these Southern American characters so convincingly. It's really impressive. He did a great job. Anyways, yeah, I'm with you, bud. Yeah, I think that was the best performance in the movie.
Well, and something you're talking about, which I think is true, like times have changed, movies have changed. Maybe in a screening, a big studio audiences might work with, the loud ass people watching and it's Halloween and whatever, but you got a big crowd going, right?
Yeah.
And so what you do is you make these really interesting deaths, which they did make some interesting deaths. Or
they
did.
Of,
some funny ones or whatever.
That's what it's all about.
But that works in the theater setting. It doesn't work with this Netflix crap. You don't think about watching Jason on home video when you go home. You think about the experience of it. That's gone.
Popcorn movie. We did bring that up. We brought up Nightmare on Elm Street. And this has kind of always been a fantasy of mine to see some of the Nightmare on Elm Street, the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and Halloween, all that stuff in a theater, had that experience with the popcorn, because that's a completely different thing. Because that's what you go for. You go for the gore and a big screen. I do get that.
Yeah, and the term campy. Like, it was weird. I mentioned Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and that's over-the-top campy. It's meant to be over-the-top campy. And they have a kind of construction of the characters. There's the black guy, there's the chick, there's the other chick. I think they have the same kind of cast, and the scenes are very similar. Like, the first scene is just like the scene from Tucker and Dale versus Evil, the first scene. The acting and the setup was so campy, it matched that. But you don't want to go that far, right? That's my point. You want to be a little campy in horror movies because it's a horror film. But they went so bad, it was like comedy routine bad. But then they would try and dial it back in with connecting moments. Like, you're stronger than me, or, you can do this. I don't know. It was so all over the place. And then, like, the chainsaw uppercut, like yeah.
That bothers me so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a recurring theme in horror movies like this. Like, do something dramatic to this unstoppable killer. You nicked his chin. He falls in the water.
Yeah.
He's gone.
He's
gone.
Dead. He's clearly dead.
But that scene at the end. But you've seen it before. That bothers me. Spoiler, whatever. Who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. They get in some sort of Tesla sort of thing. They put it on autopilot, auto drive, whatever you call that. You think it's all sunny. You think they're driving off. It's all good. Leatherface comes up, busts through the passenger window, pulls the girl out, cuts her head off with a chainsaw as her sister sees her as she's going away in autopilot through the sunroof. Pretty good scene, I think, for a movie like this. But you've seen this 15, 20 times, so you knew it was coming.
That GIF, when you told me get ready, I immediately knew. I was like, oh, I've seen it. On my TV forums, I've seen it before.
I hate that.
Well, that's the thing too. Like it's campy. It's that part. It's funny. It's kind of humorous. It was just a confused movie. Like the thing is, you can almost feel. Not always about video games. The producers and the people around it getting involved in these films. You can feel it in the delivery of the film.
Sure.
Where you're like, why don't things match up? And that's where I try and empathize a little bit. Like maybe the writer, director, producer, and actors, none of them really got along, but they have a thing to finish. They have a task before them.
Yeah.
And they do it.
Yeah, you're hired by Netflix to do a job.
Right.
You do it.
First you have the studio, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Netflix, the publisher, I guess, or okay, whatever. You're going to have some Netflix producer, staff person there all the time, probably, saying, we want these kind of things in the movie. Make sure you do this.
Quality control.
The quality control. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you got the QC Netflix person, you get the QC people that invest, you get the QC. Like, I'm sure at some point there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and it produces something like this where it wasn't like you're saying, it wasn't a straight up campy, just horror film, because they try to be a little serious. But it wasn't a serious horror film because it had no theme or any kind of like anything to really, like, the school shooting, get up. Remember she sees that corpse or that guy telling her to get up and gives her the power to get, like,
yeah.
I don't know, it was confusing.
That is true.
There were some fun campy scenes. So I did like I thought that was very clever with the mobile phone and like them saying this is not real or this is clearly fake, or that was funny.
I like the scene on the bus.
Yeah, that was
good commentary. But yeah, back to I would call it overproduction that's probably going on with a lot of Netflix stuff. You had made a comment on a shot. It's when the OG original survivor from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, who is not the original actress. I believe the original actress has passed away. So this new actress is hired to play the woman who survived the original movie back in 73 or whatever it was. How these movies look, they should look more satisfying than they do because you understand the technology that's going behind it. But I personally pull it back to, and this is something I noticed, I don't know, whenever these 1040 IP HD TVs came out, and it looks too clear. I think the only way to get that really, really wonderful look is filming on film and not digital. And obviously that's becoming more and more a thing of the past. I was listening to a podcast, you probably haven't listened to this, Roger Deakins, who is regarded as one of the greatest cinematographers of all time. He hosts a podcast with his wife. They talk to different people in the film industry, and it's really interesting, I think. One of the episodes I paid attention to was him talking about film versus digital. Roger Deakins has shot Barton Fink, Thunderheart, Shawshank Redemption, Dead Man Walking, Fargo, Courage Under Fire, Big Lebowski, The Hurricane, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Up in A Beautiful Mind. I mean, Jesus. Wow, he's done The Village. Oh, he shot The Village. The Village. Jarhead.
Great movie.
The Village. I love The Village.
It's funny. Can we say something about The Village?
Yeah.
I had a friend. Right, we go to the theater, and he's like uncomfortable the whole time and kind of being kind of a pain in the ass. Actually, it's really annoying.
Your friend?
Yeah, he was. And so we go home and then drive back, and he's like, "Oh, I predicted the end as soon as I walked in." And he really didn't, but he was saying he did. And it was really cringe.
That was not The Village. That was something else.
It was The Prestige and The Village both.
It was The Prestige.
And The Village.
I predicted the fuck out of The Prestige. Anybody who couldn't see Christian Bale in that makeup is out of their mind. It was so obvious he was in a fat suit. Dude, seriously, I did not predict The Village. The Prestige. I never claimed to.
Yeah, you did.
I remember everything. I don't forget things. Remember?
Prestige is actually a good movie. Interstellar, however, is not a good movie. That's what happens. You get fucking Christopher Nolan trying to write.
Well, Roger Deakins did not shoot Interstellar.
Thankfully.
Anyway, so Deakins, my very roundabout way of getting to this point is Deakins defended filming on film for years and years and years. And then he eventually got to the point where digital is just so much easier. But don't you think, and obviously I don't know what the fuck it takes to be a cinematographer, but your job is to be an artist. And it doesn't matter if it makes the work easier, you do the best work possible. And if film is the best work possible, you do that.
Yeah, anything on Netflix seems like, and I didn't know the difference between film and digital. You just kind of outlined it. There's something that feels off, and now I know what it is. It doesn't feel like a film. It feels like a higher production Lifetime movie or something.
With Netflix.
Yeah, all of them do.
So we've seen The Gray Man and Chainsaw.
I had a Netflix subscription years ago, dude.
Right,
For years.
sure. Okay.
Yeah. I still don't think there's any. Have they had a hit movie? Not because they told you it was a hit.
Have they had a great movie?
Yeah, that's what I mean. A great movie.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they have.
I don't know. Stranger Things is solid.
That's not a movie. It's a show.
I know, but I'm thinking about their productions, their originals. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's a good question. Has Netflix had a great movie? Has Netflix produced a great movie?
Well, if we draw any kind of audience, you can have comments from people saying what everyone else says. Like, oh, what about Gray Man? Whatever else. But I'm saying an actual, genuine film auteur who can tell you if it's a great movie. There's not anything great they produce. And there's something where they don't feel like films.
Yeah.
It really does feel like this kind of like incubation for like people like, okay, you know how there's something called Y Combinator? It's like an incubator for startups. It feels like Netflix is like an incubator for people making films that are not producing anything really good. It's like almost like taking a stab at it all the time. Nothing feels like it's Hollywood level production.
Huh.
Which is probably why the stock is so suppressed and it's going to eventually crash.
Yeah, where do you see that heading?
Crashing. Anyway, back to the movie. Shoot.
Yeah, I don't think there is one, man. It's a bunch of, well, they did The Irishman, right? They invested a lot in that Scorsese thing. I think about $200 million.
They probably put $900 million in fucking advertising it and trying to make it something.
And de-aging De Niro and Pesci and all that shit. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know, man. Yeah, we'll get back to that.
Well, it's to the point you're talking about, like something, it doesn't look Hollywood quality. I don't feel like I'm watching a film that was shot in the theaters and then put into my home screen.
Yeah.
Which maybe you told me why. I didn't know there's a film digital difference.
Maybe there's not. Maybe there's not. Maybe digital looks and you can't tell a difference. I don't know. But that's just kind of a theory I had in watching this because I assume it's all digital. I don't know. But you got to consider the Netflix system and what they're doing. And I think you put it very well, how it's this different system where they just cultivate and produce and put stuff out that's really not.
Well, because I've lived it. I mean, I worked at a tech company that made video games, and that's exactly it. It was a top tech company that made video games. Not even a video game company that made games, which is a difference. That's not great. That's how you get your EAs and whatever else. You still get some good stuff, I will admit. You get your best stuff when you get a studio to just make something great for video games, right? And then someone publishes it and they just do the work of publishing it. Then you have video game companies that make video games. They have studios. Those ones are what they are now, the most popular ones. Then you have things like, oh, I'm a tech company that wants to make video games, and those are not very good. This is a Netflix is it's a tech company. It's not a movie company. Netflix is not a movie or show company. It's a tech company making shows and movies, and they're trash. Well, and how that happens is Netflix pays tier 1 money. We talked about this before. Like it pays the Google, Netflix stuff, or Facebook stuff, or Meta, whatever. The people at the top are not film people. They all have the same story. You know, they're product managers at Google. They left. They got the Netflix. They do cloud technology. Now they're like Netflix, and they worked in the Google Play Store, so they know a little bit about movies or something. And then they get in charge of like film production at Netflix. And you're like, what have you ever done? It's not like you were the PA that got shit on in Los Angeles, and you worked, under this person and that person and this director, and then under this studio, Warner Brothers, and then you did this, right? And some people will argue, I'm sure some of those people that hired at Netflix did come from those backgrounds. But the way those companies hire, and I know how they hire, they're going to hire more for their weird tech company than they are going to see if you're a great film or video game expert. I just think it's overproduced that way. That was your point, overproduced, yeah.
Yeah, but I bet Netflix now, I would assume their reality programs get more views than a lot of the other stuff on there.
I think it's an easy genre to get, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Big Brother, how many seasons it's had. What's the formula? Put unlikely people together like Real World in a fucking home and film them. And then it has like 29 seasons or something, or whatever, right?
Yeah,
because it just works.
It works, man. Yeah. Just set the train wreck up and film it. Edit it down. to whatever's good.
People will watch.
Anyways, we got off track, man. Back to Chainsaw, the movie of the century.
It all leads to Chainsaw. The writing was bad. It had no theme. It had no soul. It had someone that probably watched horror films before and they tried to insert scenes that kind of fit, but they didn't. Then you had some other writers saying, no, we have to connect back to the character. And they're like, okay, we got to satisfy this writer. So we'll connect back to the character and we'll have the funny, campy stuff. And they put it all in a big pot and they stirred it up and said, let's make a movie.
Do you feel like this Texas Chainsaw Massacre was trying to be woke?
It seemed like they were making fun of woke, but then
it was different.
Yeah, they were making fun of it, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand. If they're serious about the woke, that's what I'm saying. Okay, the school shooting thing, obviously you don't joke about that.
No,
right?
you don't.
You don't. So they must have been serious about that, fair? But then other parts, they were being overly woke, and it was, I'd say, obvious they were being over the top on purpose.
Yeah.
So then what is it? Are you making fun of yourselves? Or being self-referential? Or I couldn't track anything that was consistent.
Yeah, it was funny to me. My memory of it, I had seen it once before, was that it was making fun of woke. Yeah. But I had completely forgotten when we started this about the school shooting, the little subplot there, which is very not touched on too much, but just enough to make it a very apparent part of the story. And what a tasteless thing to throw in a movie like this, in my opinion, in retrospect.
Yeah,
really,
well said.
Really shitty to use something like that for a movie of this class. But what I like about these movies is throw away the thoughts, really, and just enjoy the show and look at the violence and the absurdity of the whole thing. But yeah, the school shooting thing could, man, not too classy.
Well, I'm glad to get it. Yeah, it's tasteless. It's that incongruency that makes it hard to watch the film. Then I get thrown off. It was incongruent. So I was watching it. I'm like, wait, no, they're being serious. Like, this is supposed to be the connecting. This is the emotional moment for this character. Oh, so you care about emotional moments for characters. You care about development. But then you don't. You're making these funny, campy scenes. What are you going to be? Choose. If you're going to be campy, then cool. Show me some tits. Show me some campiness. Stick to that. Show me some gruesome deaths that are funny but also interesting, and show me some scenes that'll make me cheer. By the way, that ending scene did not make me cheer. That's everything. They missed that too, and I'll say it. Like, first they had to do the Mary Sue, where every chick is, of course, empowered, right? But give me some wins. Give me the guy getting his arm sliced off by the character you liked, and then dying. The character's still dying, right? But give me a few chinks in this guy's armor. Like whittle down his hit points, if you will, right? But that didn't really happen. He got shot. He was never really injured. Show me the scene where he got his arm sliced up and he's trying to wrap it up because that one person got that, got that lick on him, and that makes you kind of like cheer for a second, right, for your campy movie.
Yeah.
But they die anyway. Nothing of that. He was just this unstoppable force.
That is true. It's kind of strange. There was no camp and no nudity.
I think that's the Netflix part again, is someone's like, hey, we want to do this. Like, no, we're not going to objectify women. Well, it's like, but wait, you're slicing organs and entrails up. It's like, sure we are, but we're not going to objectify women.
Yeah, we'll cut a black woman, in half. And
have her entrails smear down the window. Yeah.
But we can't. It doesn't work.
Right, because that feeds too the misogynist. I gotta give some nice. I do like how she brought the M4 out like a moron and didn't know how to shoot it. That was great.
You didn't see that coming. You thought it would work.
Well, I called out the M4 and I called out the head and the car.
You called a lot of this. I was surprised because, man, there were twists and turns when I saw this for the first time. I was just blown away. Okay, so what was your favorite scene of this movie, man? This disaster. What did you like?
I actually I'm not going to say choked up, but I got a little bit emotional when I saw the credits roll. That was my favorite part. Knowing it was over.
I thought I saw a little glisten of a tear coming down your cheek.
Yeah, you saw my tears glisten after I was been seppuku'd by the villain. Yeah. Remember?
Yes.
A tear rolls down her cheek as she's being, her entrails are being eviscerated in the car.
Oh, God. I didn't notice that.
You didn't notice that? A tear comes out.
Well, good for the actress, man. She probably threw that in there. That was what she had to work with. And she went above and beyond. What do you think about that? You're not an actor. You've done a little bit, but okay. But how would you feel? You're working your ass off to get work, period. You get something like this. They filmed this overseas. I want to say they filmed it somewhere in Europe, which is really rent. I mean, I'm going to look it up. But regardless of any of that, you get something like this. You get the script. You know what you're going to do. do you move forward and just enjoy the process? How do you feel about this? Or can you even put yourself
That's why
in
I
that
couldn't be an
position?
actor, because I'd be too purist. But if I was the right personality for it, I think you have to keep the best attitude, but also give the best performance. There's times where even if you have to push back into the writer director, they might say, "I want you to act just like this way." You give them enough to try and fill it in, but you give your own signature to it. And if they don't like it, then you say, "I guess I'm not the right one." Like, you keep pushing back, because a thing like this, the only way you're gonna be remembered is to have your own signature, like the Hick did, or he's not a Hick. He was the Texan, right? We'll call him the Texan.
Yeah.
He did have his own signature.
He did.
So maybe they even I could see this. Maybe they told him like, hey, you're playing a bit too serious, or play it up a bit more, and he probably didn't.
Yeah.
So it's a long way of saying I'd put my signature on it as best as I could. What about you?
I like that. I think so, man. You gotta dig deep and find something that's gonna make you stand out from the pack. But if you've got a part where it calls for you to have a few lines, and then you're sitting in a car that's crashed and you're trying to get away from Leatherface, there's only so much you can do. There's only so much. This was filmed in Bulgaria.
Probably because the credits.
Bulgaria? What do you mean?
They probably got a huge credit for going to Bulgaria.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, Bulgaria. So it was not Texas. Sofia, Bulgaria. Really interesting. So they built a fake small Texas town there outside of
What was
Austin.
the original plot? So we're gonna build a extension of Austin, Texas, in the middle of nowhere, and it's gonna be food related. What?
So these artsy kids, two of them were chefs. The black guy and the Jerry curl chick. They were going to open a restaurant. They were going to rebuild this town, make it a thing.
That's what I'm saying. They were going to
They're
make.
just going to gentrify this ghost town. That's all they were going to do.
Make an offshoot of Austin. Yeah, who would go there? How would they get any business?
Well, if it's only a few miles out of Austin, it'll they could be billionaires if they do it right. I like it, man. I think it's smart.
Yes.
Personally, so I can't wait for the next one of these. Okay, so
5.
Solid. Really? You're giving it a 5?
It was a movie.
Dude, it was a movie. I'll give it a 4.7, brother.
Why did you make me
4.7.
watch it? Did you just do this just to see if I could?
I didn't, man. 10 seconds, dude. We were watching Jeepers Creepers. That was the plan. Jeepers Creepers, for whatever reason, is not available anywhere right now. Not even Amazon.
I thought you
can't buy
liked this movie. That's what's throwing me off. I thought you made me watch it because you thought
I watched it on a plane. I told you that.
Oh God.
You know how this goes.
I thought you were kidding. I should have
No,
known
I
better.
watched it on an
my
airplane. I was going to Dominican Republic.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Stillwater.
It's Stillwater, man.
I'll never live that
dude.
down.
But it's got to be something. It's not that bad. The fact that it's 82 minutes and it was quick. It was quick.
That's what she said.
4.7 here. 4.7. Okay. All right. So horror movies are the name. We're not getting into that show until whenever we want to. We don't care. So what's the next movie?
La Orfanija.
Oh, really?
The Orphanage.
Del Toro?
He actually just helped produce it. He didn't actually write or direct it. He was just involved with it because he thought the guy who directed it had a lot of talent.
Spanish.
Yes.
Okay.
And why it's good is why you may or may not like it is it's not gore. It's complete unsettling and chilling, and the kind of horror I think most people do actually want in the end.
Yeah.
It's the unsettling and chilling effect. There's not a lot of big payoff like, ooh, there's not a lot of jump scares.
Yeah.
It's made for the atmosphere and the unsettling feeling of it. Yeah.
I love that.
And it has captions because it's subtitled because it's in Spanish. You know, it's a good engaging movie. I don't forget, but I never think about the fact that I couldn't hear them say English because you're focused on the movie. You don't think about like, oh, I can't make this out.
Yeah.
It's good. It's one of my top recommendations.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, and it's been out for a while. What, probably 15 years old at this point.
Oh, I've told you about The Orphanage before?
We talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because Pan's Labyrinth, another. I've never seen that still.
Exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to watch that.
22-minute standing ovation.
Good for it. Yeah. That's such a fucking annoying thing to me now. When you read about that, the festivals, and we got a 5-minute standing ovation, 6 minutes, 7 minutes. Who the fuck cares?
Well, it's made
Stupid.
It's made as a hat tip to the director. I used to appreciate it. Just stuff that comes out now.
No, it was probably great back then, but now it's just every movie gets a standing ovation. They've
taken something that had value and they've ruined it with their own.
For sure.
ham-fistedness.
For sure, yeah. You read about Don't Worry, Darling that just came out. 6 minutes, standing ovation. Apparently it's a terrible movie, which we may watch. I'm sure I'll recommend it at some point because I'm good at recommending bad movies. But anyways.
That's not true. I think you're just taking some risks and it's not paying out.
I like to see you squirm.
Yeah.
Did you ever think about that?
I like to see you squirm.
Yeah.